Right, well, first of all, thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you for inviting me.
So the Torre Reforma project in Mexico City.
Yes.
Describe this project to us and how the design evolved. It's got these really structurally expressive parts. There's an energy efficient component to it. Just tell us how you came up with this design.
Certainly. Well, as I always said, in my opinion, the buildings are not a product of an inspiration. It's a product of the architectural party. And certainly the architectural party is product of the analysis of the area, of the program, the structure, and all of it. When you do the proper analysis party, you can come to many conclusions, which in this case bring me to the idea to develop this open book two concrete walls that will support the whole building, and that they will be the foundation as well of the building. It's important to understand that behind these walls we have the lot line, so the site ends at that precise point. So I could take advantage of that and make these concrete walls. Then when we spoke with the Arup,
the engineers,
they came with this very interesting idea of the zipper to connect both concrete walls and to allow the structure to move as one piece, which I think is a very interesting idea. We were engaged with that idea, and that's how we developed the project. And what you say that is very powerful and very structural, expressive, I have to say that that's the way it should be. That's the way I do my architecture, because I think that the structure has to be seen from every part of the building.
How can you see how it responds to the seismic nature, the tectonics of Mexico City?
It's very interesting, your question, because if you analyze the architecture of Mexico since the Aztecs, it is always tectonic, because the earthquakes has been in our country, in our city, always. And if you analyze all these construction that are thought tectonically, are very well preserved. So when I started with this project, in talking with Arup as well, they were thinking at the beginning to change this concrete wall for steel columns and maybe some cladding to make the image of the concrete wall, which certainly I did not accept, because to me, in my life, I've been in Mexico all my life, I'm Mexican, certainly. I noticed that the tectonics building behave better. And since Torre Reforma, because of its magnitude, is going to be a 150 years old building eventually, I came to the conclusion that the building has to behave very well and has to learn from the Aztecs in terms of tectonics.
And what did you learn from the Aztecs?
About the tectonics, because you can see how their structures are so well preserved for thousands of years. And unfortunately, when you bring to the table the steel, which I like it very much, in fact, half of the building in Torre Reforma is made out of steel, you end up noticing that the building will not age properly and will not age structurally well, because the iron is a product, is a material that has corrosion and has many problems that has to be taken care of that. The concrete is more friendly material, and not this tectonic idea. So that's how I came to that conclusion, and that's why I spoke with Arup when we were discussing that I did not like the idea of steel columns and cladding. I rather use, and they love it, because when they did the analysis, they noticed that with this idea we could escape from the dampers, for instance, and the structure became very economically very efficient.
But so what specifically did you learn from the Aztecs in terms of seismicity? Because they didn't have steel or concrete.
They don't have steel. They do have kind of a concrete because they used to put stones with mortar, like the concrete, masonry, yes. And that if you analyze, they did not do a one piece. If you analyze the concrete wall of Torre Reforma, I don't know if you know it, but it is made out of many strips poured daily in a one single day. As I told you, it's a two walls like an open book. And we pour 70 centimeters of concrete in all the plant in the same day. So we don't have junctions in that pour. The next pour that was poured at the second day and at the third and so on, 6 days for a floor, the joints were like the joints of the stones in the Aztec buildings. Why? Because when an earthquake comes, certainly we have tension and we have compression. And the joints appear. But since they are embedded in the joints that we did on purpose, then you don't see them. So normally, if you may visit any concrete building, you may see many cracks because it's normal, because the concrete is not made to tension, it's made to compression. So when there's a tension in the wall, cracks appear. And with us, we certainly have the cracks, but the cracks are embedded in the lines. So what I learned is to have like the exposed the joint between the pieces and allow them to move.
So Mexico City doesn't have many tall buildings right now, despite the fact that it's a huge city and growing. Do you think there would be more in the future? And what's,
definitely, let me
what's
tell
stopping
you,
it right now?
No, it used to be stopped because the zoning regulation were constrained in the height. And because of that, which was a wrong idea, we grew horizontally. Fortunately, the city, the government, the people already noticed that that was a mistake. And we are talking about this already 18 years, 12 years, that the government declared that we are not going to expand no more horizontally and that we have to go vertical. So now the zoning allows the tall buildings to be in Mexico. And I'm positive that in the near future, many tall buildings will be built in Mexico. In fact, today, there are 4 new buildings under construction next to my building. And when I built the building, there was only one, which is Torre Mayor. Then Renzo Piano and Legorreta built the BBVA tower in the same time that we did, the Torre Reforma. So today we are 3. But today there are 4 tall towers in this moment. So definitely, Mexico is going high. That's a must.
As that process happens, what do you think is important to keep in mind? Are you worried that Mexico City's skyline will suddenly go from not being much to looking like a generic skyline that could be in any city? Or do you worry about affordable housing? Or is there any development concern going forward for Mexico City that you think might be important to keep in mind?
I'm not worried. I think that the cities has to evolve as the population evolve. And I'm certain that there are going to be great buildings and ugly buildings. But I think that that's a beauty. That's the beauty of a city. And I think that the skyline is going to be magnificent, especially in all the surrounding of the Chapultepec Park, that we all want to face the park. I'm not concerned about if it's going to be a different skyline. I think it's going to be a beautiful skyline. And the government is keen, is looking for all this public transportation to these hubs of offices. I encourage you to visit Mexico in 3-4 years from now. It will be another city, completely another city. Certainly the periphery is going to be low and flat, but the the Reforma and Chapultepec area is going up definitely.
We'll keep an eye on it. Thank you so much.
Thank you for inviting me.